Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to heal from a narcissistic parent. Now, maybe you missed or maybe you saw the last video where I talked about how to deal with a narcissistic parent. Whichever one it was, I encourage you to go back and watch it because these will partner with each other and really help you navigate this really horrific dynamic. It's just devastating to have experienced a narcissistic parent, and my heart goes out to anyone who's been through this. There's just no word. Like, it's one of those things, there are certain things in life where there are just no words. The emotion of it, the consequence of it is too big. And this is one of those moments. If you were raised by a narcissistic parent and you're left with that void, that emptiness, the hole, the confusion, the sadness, the sense that, God, maybe I'm not lovable, all the different things, like the words, there just aren't words for that. It's too big of pain. I wish I could come up with something that could make you feel better, but there aren't words for it. And I guess the best I can say is I wish I could come up with something to express it in a way where you could walk away going, God, I feel better. I just don't know that these are just one of those life situations where it's just too big. All I can say is my heart is that I wish I could find a sentence that might make it better. And so the next best step I can make is to offer some suggestions that might help you heal from a unspeakable dynamic. And that's what I'm going to attempt to do today, is walk you through, the recovery process to this, you can't just put in a short little video, but I'm going to at least give you some tips to get started on the process, to get things turned around. And the first one is what you're doing right now. You're already making a great start at it. You're educating yourself. And here's why this is important. Studies show that the biggest boost we get of self-esteem comes from learning. Whenever we learn something new, there's this massive chemical reaction inside of us. We just love ourselves for learning. Well, so that's what I encourage you to do, learn. And not always the negative stuff about how bad narcissistic parents are and narcissism, but also the recovery aspect, also the journey into yourself. Also, maybe go paint or some hobby. The point is this: learn. Go learn. Because at the core wound for you, the person who's been raised by a narcissistic parent, is self-esteem, self-worth. Because they were so broken, and our identity and our worth comes from our parents, our caregivers. And if they're incapable of giving that, of creating that healthy attachment and bonding that every human being needs, it leaves us with a gaping, empty hole. And we then have to fix that. And this is one of the great ways to start filling in that hole, is go learn. Learn about anything and everything. It will give us a sense of, man, I am worthy. I am not what they said or what they did. I'm much more than that. So that's step number one, go learn. Step number two is seek trauma recovery. You can't get out of this on your own. It's just not possible. Think of it in life. If you want to achieve anything, whether that's to be a real estate agent or astrophysicist, you have to take classes. You have to have a teacher guide you through that process. And let's face it, you weren't parented. So the skills you learned to teach yourself how to navigate things are deficient because who you were raised by was deficient. So they haven't taught you. So you need somebody who has the skills and tools that your parents never had to guide you along that journey. Now, it doesn't have to be me. I mean, obviously, I'm an expert in this. But find somebody and make that investment in yourself. So many people will see that as a cost, and there are many reasons or excuses. They'll try to avoid that step, but what you're avoiding is your recovery. What you're avoiding is the ability to love yourself, the ability to love your own children, the ability to love your own spouse or anyone you may, if you're single, a future mate, the ability to have friends, the ability to have joy, everything. Unless you pursue that trauma recovery, you are severely limiting your life capabilities. Okay? So again, I encourage you, you're worth it. I know they said you weren't. I know they left you with that, but you are worth it. Beyond measure. Like, it's incalculable how much worth you have. And I encourage you to start investing that worth into you. It's your turn. All right? Number 3 is grief work. Here's what happens. And this is why many people won't seek step number 2 is the 5 steps of grief. We have shock and denial, and then anger, bargaining, and then we get to sadness, depression, and acceptance. Well, what most people live their life in the first 3 stages, mostly in denial. They don't let in the weight of what they experience. Oh, it's not that big of a deal. I'm fine. It's not, no, that was way back then. I'm okay. And then it expresses itself in anger, which is fear. And so that's poor relationships and, being shut down, addictions, all these different things. And then bargaining. They're looking for any excuse or any reason not to go do the work, because what they're trying to avoid is step number 4, the sadness and the depression. Because as a society, especially here in America, we really we manipulate people, and America's great, everything's possible. It's this nirvana concept. It's beautiful marketing, and there's a lot of truth to it. But this may sound terrible. I mean, America's great, but we're also lied to. It's a lot of propaganda. We're all in a lot more pain, a lot more dysfunction than we ever talk about or deal with. And that's the denial piece. We need to get into reality of that. And especially here in America, we can never be sad or depressed. No. Everything's good. Well, that's the part that has to be dealt with. And that's how we minimize the effect of what we experienced in childhood. We have to, because as a society, we've never dealt with the truth that we're all perfectly imperfect. We're all broken. We all have pain. We all are not the image America presents. We are also the dark side of that we project onto the rest of the world. We are that too. We are both. We are perfectly imperfect. We're not just perfect. America tries to make all of us perfect all the time. We just have to be perfect. No, we are both. That is the complete self, perfectly imperfect. And that's why grief work is so important. It brings in all of us, the part of ourselves we've neglected, that society, especially again in America, we're taught, don't ever go there, don't ever talk about it, don't ever deal with it. That's denial. That's robbing all of us of true health. And that's why, America is really education, health. We're just falling down because we keep projecting perfection when what we need to be dealing with is our imperfection. So please start dealing with that. That's how you get to acceptance and freedom. All right. Step number 4 is stop the self-abuse. Because of developmental trauma, all of us have been through developmental trauma. I talk about this in my book, Your Journey to Success. If you haven't read it, please pick up a copy of it. If you don't want to pay for it, there's on my website, thegreatnessuniversity.com. There's a free download to both the audible and the written portion of the first chapter. Listen to it, read it, see if it resonates with you. But I have discovered a cycle that everyone on this planet is stuck in. We've all been through developmental trauma. I prove it. It's not an opinion. I prove it scientifically. Your life is a struggle, and everyone's life is a struggle. Even the CEOs and the experts and made all the money, they're still reliving the trauma of their childhood against themselves. This is the imperfection we don't want to talk about, but I show it and prove it. All of us are caught in that. And so we are all stuck. Now the problem is society doesn't talk about it, doesn't teach it. So right now you're unaware of how you're doing that to yourself. Again, you're not bad. Nobody's bad. But because we as a society, especially in America, project perfection, we hide imperfection, we just don't know. Well, that's a big part of what I'm doing is I'm ripping the Band-Aid off and confronting that denial and going, look, people, the answer is in the opposite. When you become an expert in your imperfections, that's how you actually feel perfect inside. It's the opposite of what we've been sold. We've been sold, oh, ignore all the imperfections, just be perfect, positive and perfect all the time. And that's made everybody miserable and imperfect. And that's why everyone's suffering all these problems. The solution is no, become an expert in how wonderfully imperfect we are. And when you can accept the deepest, darkest, most broken pieces of yourself, how could you not love yourself? Like, think of it, just logically. If I can accept the most horrible thing that I never want anyone to know, well, what would be the result? I must love myself. And then I wouldn't care if you know, right? That's why the answer is in the opposite. Become an expert in your pain. And so if you don't know how to do that, I'd encourage you to pick up a copy of my book, Your Journey to Success. I'll leave you a link for that as well if that's something that interests you. Step number 5 is we need to reparent ourselves. If you were raised by a narcissist, you weren't parented. As I spoke about in the last video about how to deal with a narcissistic parent. They're immature. They never matured out of the narcissistic stage we all go through in childhood. And that's a childhood stage. There is a stage of human development where narcissism is healthy, okay? The problem is many children get stuck in it because of poor parenting. And as I said, all of this is created. It's not DNA. The science is overwhelming. This is all childhood developmental trauma that created a narcissist. And so if you're watching this and you have a child, you and your husband, because of the lack of information, or you and your wife, whatever the mix is, or 2 men, 2 women, whatever the dynamic, the parents created this dynamic in the child. All right? Not because they're bad people, but because, again, we don't teach this stuff. We're just teaching perfection. We're not teaching the full puzzle, so we don't know exactly how to parent to stop these dynamics. Okay? So what that means is we weren't parented. We need to learn how to parent ourselves. Well, how do we do that? We need to go become an expert. That's part of why we have to hire somebody to help us with the trauma recovery. They also need to teach us what are developmental deficiencies. An expert like myself and others know what those are. We won't be aware of them. We need to become aware of them. We basically need to find a surrogate mother or father, or both, and that can be done through groups, 12-step groups. A coach and counselor and therapist in many ways takes on that role as a trusted advisor that they never, even though they're an adult, they never got as a child. And they help them recover through the codependency and all the different dynamics and heal the developmental deficiencies that are there. So that's step number 5, is being able to reparent ourselves. Okay, so if you have been raised by a narcissistic parent, again, it's incumbent upon us, now that we're the adult, to go heal ourselves. I have created, so much free content for people that have been through all of these dynamics It's all on my magazine site, www.thegreatnessuniversity.com. I urge you to go there. If you want help. Many people aren't ready. They're in that discovery phase of, I want to listen, but I'm not ready to deal with it. That's fine. When you are ready to deal, write that down so that when you are ready to deal with it, you know exactly where to go. All the self-love, all the codependence recovery, narcissism recovery, whether you like to watch videos, whether you like to read it, or a combination of both, it's there. There's also a ton of free exercises to download, everything. If you want more, if you want the full journey, the full process, well, then I have master classes, I have private groups, depending if you want to invest on yourself, and also I work with people individually. But you don't have to buy my stuff or hire me, but please invest in an expert's process and plan to help you out of it. You will not get there on your own. It's not possible because there are deficiencies because of the way you were raised, and so those needs, just like going to school, it's like asking somebody to build the space shuttle when they've never even been an engineer. They're just not going to be able to. Well, it's the same for you. You can't grow out of those developmental deficiencies without somebody teaching you what they are and how to do that. So if you like this video, please like it. If you think it'll help somebody, please share. Leave me your comments. Share your story. And as always, enjoy the journey.